The awkward turtle.
Is anyone feeling a bit stuck recently? Like physically and mentally. We all hyped up 2021 way too much and it's just been a very slow and a very long letdown. We are almost in March and it still feels like 2020, if not more problems have surfaced. You know when you eat in a restaurant and you see the food's coming out and it's not yours? So you pin all your hopes and dreams on the next plate being brought out and it's still not yours. Well, that is to me 2021 so far. And I've been having a lot of anxiety lately and always worrying about stuff. Stuff that has nothing to do with me really. For example, like the Bermuda Triangle. It scares me so much on how much we are not talking about this. Shouldn't we be working harder on this problem? We now have Wi-Fi on the moon and on Mars. And it's called interplanetary internet. I can't get Wi-Fi in my bathroom, but that's okay. We figured out a way to have Wi-Fi when we move to Mars. There are literally 1,000,001 things to fix on Earth. But that's okay, we have Wi-Fi in space. We need longer phone battery life. We should have a search bar in all supermarkets. Aisle labels are clearly not working. We need biscuits that will hold its structure after you dunk it in tea. And we still can't fast forward live TV. And that brings me to TV remotes. TV remotes, the worst invention ever. Yet 90% of the population has one. And I don't know anyone that uses more than 10 buttons on their remote controls. Does anyone even know what the colour buttons are for? And we think the governments are overpaid. But that's okay, we have Wi-Fi on Mars. In more seriousness, there is so much more to do on Earth. Poverty, racism, human rights, wildlife, equality. It's funny when you talk about equality to people who have been pretty privileged all their lives. You know, some of you all have never ever had to borrow $20 so you can take out that $80 in your bank account, and it really shows.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 M's in my bank account. Yeah, in my bank account. Yeah.
OMG, you should so look into stocks. Like, I bought this stock for like 2 weeks and made like so much profit on it. I have like almost like created a second stream of income for myself. Oh wow, that sounds great. Let me look into it. How did you find like the starting capital, and how did you know which ones to buy? Oh, like my daddy invested in my portfolio, and I have like an uncle who works in finance, so no big deal.
Okay.
Or they would say things like,
Alright, if you want gender equality, then don't expect men to buy you drinks anymore. Well, women can already vote, work, and choose to be lesbian, so we've come a very long way. What more do you want? And also, there are so many CEOs, presidents, and mothers who are women. I don't understand the issue.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
true, we've come a very long way, but it was so wrong to begin with, so pretty sure we're just asking for the bare minimum here, Carl. Do you know how I know there is still so much inequality outside of the obvious things like pay gaps, access to education, gender roles, all that kind of stuff? Are you ready for this? Pockets. Pockets basically demonstrates gender inequality. To this day, where we have interplanetary internet, women's pockets are still either way too small or basically non-existent. Men have no idea how privileged they are. There are so many pockets on men's clothes. For example, back pockets, 2 front pockets, inside of a jacket, outside of a jacket. Men really take most things for granted, even down to the pockets. They will use the left pocket for anything. Keys, wallets, change, condoms, Nerf guns. But they will only ever put one thing in their right pocket, their mobile phones. It's like the only way they can find their phone is being in the right pocket. Never the left. Too clustered with all the junk I put in there. I need a clean and direct access straight to my phone for booty calls. I really looked into this, and it turns out that I'm definitely not the only one who thinks about this. So I found out that, on average, the pockets in women's jeans are 48% shorter and 6.5% narrower than a men's pocket. The back pockets reflect the same trend. An average woman's hand will not be able to fit her entire hand in their pockets, whereas men can, and most likely, able to fit other objects in there at the same time. Isn't that mad? Okay, just stay with me here. There's a lot to unpack here. So centuries ago, like back in the day, when pockets didn't exist, until also goes by the name Iceman. He was called Iceman because his body was found on the Alps. I told you, I looked into this a lot. He first came up with the idea of carrying a pouch and tied it to belts. So that was the first version of pockets as we know today. Then centuries later, still not recent, they started to sew it onto clothes instead of using belts. And that was the start of fanny packs, but much smaller, and they wore it inside of their clothes. Apparently, it was thought of at the time women didn't need bigger or more useful pockets for various reasons, because possessions was a sign of power, so women didn't have many possessions. As the pockets are hidden, they also didn't want women to be hiding things. And also, fashion happened. And women's clothing started to get slimmer and slimmer just to appease men. And having pockets will ruin the shape of a dress, for example. And it was also considered that women already had 4 external bulges, being the 2 boobies, the 2 bums, and a money pocket inside of the dress would make it an ungainly 5th. It was also considered that men have pockets to keep things in, whereas women only uses pockets for decoration.
Whoa, that's like fucking mean.
So great news, women got to keep rocking those fanny packs. Apparently, dressmakers back then, who I would assume were also men at the time, really tried to help once women started complaining about this. They would sew in pockets at the most useful places ever. For example, the hem of the dresses. So useful, such genius, A star for effort. Then fashion really pushed for purses and handbags, who I will also assume were run by men. I could be wrong, but I'm starting to see a pattern over here. Women's pockets then continued to be sewed by their armpits because they only needed to sit at home and drink tea and worship their husbands. Women's pockets slowly evolved to what today's pockets can fit for, half of an iPhone 10. The irony is that a 10-year-old boy can probably carry more things in his pockets than an 80-year-old grandma who may need to have emergency medicines on at all times. How are we supposed to fix a pay gap when there's a pocket gap? Male privilege is literally embedded deeply throughout a society for centuries. But the good thing is, we're gonna have Netflix on Mars.
Yes.
Okay, how can we fix this, I hear you say? Well, I truly believe that we can make things right in so many ways and it's never too late. And education is key with a massive reform, because it's run by men mostly. To start with, I will make sex education a mandatory subject. I'll have modules like gender identity, puberty, sexual orientation, gender roles in the media, contraception, pregnancy, STD, all the lot. Not just a demonstration on how to put a condom on a banana and now you try. And certainly not,
Don't have sex, because you will get pregnant and die.
I will want relationships and communications as a class. Because 80% of arguments start because someone hasn't eaten yet. All schools should never play Grease ever again in lessons. That movie really did not age well and is god awful. I mean, listen to the lyrics. Tell me more, tell me more. Did you get very far? Tell me more, tell me more. Like, does he have a car? Wait for it, it gets worse. Well, Tell me more, tell me more. Was it love at first sight? Tell me more, tell me more. Did she pull up a fight?
What? What the fuck?
Did she pull up a fight? Wow, what an uplifting message. If you love that, please do not subscribe, follow, download, thumbs up me, or any of the sort, because that will mean you're super duper weird, man. If you didn't like that, then fair play. You clearly have a way more exciting life than I do, so fuck off and go play with your really cool friends. And finally, if you have the same weird thoughts as I do, go to my Instagram page at awkwardturtle for some extra bits. The Awkward Turtle, over and out.